stated the following: Davidson is known for his quick wit and intellect. In his discussions or debates, he insists that all arguments be pushed to their logical conclusions. Okay? And you may also not have known, another interesting trivia, that Paul originally proposed calling his new journal the Journal of Keynesian Economics, okay, until it was pointed out that the initials would be J-O-K-E. That's all the record. And so he didn't like the name Post-Keynesian, but he didn't like that acronym. That's how we came to Post-Keynesian Journal of Economics. Okay. Should I keep going here?
Yes.
Doors, the doorway.
Where's Eddie Youngman when we
Yeah. I can do that right after. 1970 was another turning point for Paul when he took a year off from Rutgers and went to Cambridge, England. Okay, where he began his association with Joan Robinson. Now I'm quoting here from the record again. When they first met, Davidson and Robinson would discuss draft chapters of his manuscript, Money in the Real World. Some of the discussions got very heated, and she finally refused to speak to Davidson about his work. Now, who would have thought? Okay. Instead, when Davidson arrived at his office, he would usually find a blank sheet of paper with a handwritten question from Joan Robinson. Davidson would spend the morning writing his answer, and when Robinson went out for morning coffee, he would put the paper with his answer in her office. When Davidson returned to his office after lunch, he would find Robinson's comments scrawled over the paper. Right? That's the way it was. Okay. Now I'm going to move along 10 years in history to when I first met Paul, which I was just refreshed by Matt. And clearly, I have only Paul to blame for me being here tonight. He read my first paper, Soft Currency Economics, and then at his encouragement, he worked tirelessly with me. Reminds me of my car, it's tireless, right? Tirelessly with me to produce the follow-up, Full Employment and Price Stability, which he published in his journal. Now, nobody had ever published anything I had, and at the time it was almost like this introduction to have somebody like Paul do that. Anyway, I had mixed emotions getting started on this path. Wrestling with this syndrome, I first heard from Marx. So you guys would think I'd be quoting Marx here, right? I wouldn't join a club that would have me for a member. I think it was Groucho. Anyway, it was Paul who named us the Charlies. There were other possible names, as John Law had made paper money famous as well, but Paul had the wisdom not to call us lawyers. So anyway, almost as bad as a joke, right? Anyway, we've all soldiered along, tacking the windmills, and successfully have become 10 years older. And wondering the question we all ask: if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it make a noise? Paul's personality actually can be summed up by his own statement that he made after his first paper was published. Quote, although I still believe that this was one of my best papers, and even though it appeared in a very prestigious journal, it apparently failed to create any stir in the profession. Now, this is really one of the things why we're so much, that I like, actually. That's something I have too. That's the whole thing. Something that creates a stir. That's where Paul. I've got Paul. Paul is one. Excuse me. Paul is one who thoroughly enjoys creating a sophisticated stir. Will undoubtedly do so following this introduction. Okay. And I want to give you a word of advice when you're around Paul. Don't use the word money. Many have tried. Many have regretted it. You might say, well, you know, the Fed doesn't control the money supply. Paul will go, yes, they do. And you might get in this argument. Well, what he's saying, he doesn't include treasury securities in the money supply, and you do, maybe. Okay? And so you get in this argument not realizing, and we're going to find out more about that. But so if you look at everything I've written, The word money does not appear once in 10 years in publications. If I'm talking about bank deposits, I write bank deposits. If I'm talking about some credit cards, I write credit. Never use the word money. Okay. Like I said, I did that one time, and it's never been the same. Okay. Okay. And that's, in closing, Paul, it's truly been an honor to know you and Louise, and to have taken me seriously, and to be charged with this introduction by Henry. But I can't remember. Hopefully, I haven't triggered a don't get mad, get even, because he's on next. And I beg forgiveness in advance. And again, reiterate that it was Randy that put me up with this. In conclusion, okay, as soon as the Nobel Prize Committee starts giving the Economics Award for economists who are actually correct in their analysis, I have no doubt that Paul Davidson will be the one to get the award. Okay? Unless, of course, they send a coach ticket. I'd like to close this with an identifying slogan I might, that I'm just offering for you to use as for whatever. And it's cognito ergo dicity. Okay, and for the closing line, and here's Paul Davidson. He approved of this message.